you. Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
I appreciate it.
Well, you've selected your wines.
Yes.
So, without hesitation, let's jump into it.
Great.
We are gonna start off with a little Moscato.
Okay.
A little dessert bubbly to begin.
Okay.
This is Bricco Reale Moscato d'Asti.
Where is it from?
So this is from the region of Piedmont.
Okay.
So northwestern Italy, up by Lake Como.
Okay.
And this is one of my, if not my, absolute favorite region in the whole wide world. My favorite little town is Alba.
Okay.
This is the neighboring town, Asti.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So Moscato, as most people know, is sweet wine.
Okay.
This is, when you look at the label here, this sticker up here is a government stamp,
Oh.
and it says DOCG,
Okay.
which is the highest. This is a guaranteed quality of what is gone in this bottle. So when you look at, and this is for Italy, when you go looking at bottles of wine, if you see the stamp and this label on it, you know it is of high quality. This is all estate grown and bottled.
Okay.
So when most of us look at, that's not a good example. This is a good example. When we look at this bottle of wine and we look at the label and we see the winery and some vineyards on the label,
Right.
Like this is representing the place.
Right.
That's only 2% of wines that are made.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
So
that.
just because it has a building and some vineyards painted on the label doesn't actually mean that's what's going on.
Oh.
It is true with this one.
Okay, thank goodness.
I'm not schlepping junk over here.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, okay, when you used to get a glass of wine, so you smell it and then you swirl it around, and what does that do?
It helps aerate it, so
Okay.
it helps it open it up as oxygen molecules contact the liquid.
Okay.
It starts bouncing those tiny little atoms around.
Okay.
It starts opening up from the tight bottle that it was in.
Gotcha.
And that perfumey quality really starts to blossom, and that just accentuates the pleasurable like smells and tastes from it being all bottled up.
Okay.
No pun intended.
Okay. And what are you smelling?
What are you smelling? I mean, you can just be like sugar, because I smell sugar. I get melon. I get pear.
Okay.
You don't have to get that. Like cantaloupe. But I also get like honeysuckle, like a honey and honeysuckle.
Okay. Are those two different things?
And yeah, there's like white flowers.
Okay. Because it smells sweet, but there's also that more musky.
Yeah, there's like so obviously when you make wine, you use yeast to make alcohol.
Is that what all that is? Or is it anything else that's making that?
No, I mean, I've been to a couple of Moscato producing facilities, and that's exactly what, that's what a winery smells like. It smells like bready, yeasty, like a kind of like a bakery, but not exactly like a bakery. There's that musty, like damp bread kind of quality in a winery.
Oh.
And for whatever reason, Moscato wineries specifically have the smell of Moscato carries that more so in the glass from the winery than other wines.
Yeah. It smells very sweet.
That's good breakfast wine. Don't be nervous. So in Moscatos, you'll see like tiny little bubbles. They usually have about 1 atmospheric pressure in there versus champagne. Champagne will have 3 atmospheric pressures. So the bubbles are bigger, the bubbles here are smaller and finer.
Yeah.
But that also just helps kind of like dance on your tongue and accentuate the flavors.
Wow, that is delicious.
That's delicious.
Yeah. It's a lot fruitier than I thought it was. Yeah.
But it's not like crazy, like sugary sweet. It's more like fruit sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow, that's really good. Wow.
And yeah, we like when tasting wine, we look at the color, we smell it, we taste it, and then we also feel like the texture, and then we also like listen to.
Oh, what are you listening for? I said, oh wow, I haven't seen anyone do that. Wow, yeah, that's really good. You said it was a dessert wine?
I mean, you can use it as an aperitif wine to like kind of just like get your palate going before dinner.
Okay.
So instead of having a cocktail, if you want something that's a little bit lower in alcohol, a nice sweet dessert wine just like cleanses your palate, wakes it up, gets you ready for dinner.
A lot of people will drink the dessert wine before.
Or you know, you've got like a nice, I don't know, pistachio ice cream with some olive oil and salt sprinkled on it. We're going to stick with the Italian theme and then have this to go along with that. I don't know if that actually would go well, but...
Wow. A couple questions for you, not related to the wine.
Okay.
With reds, do you hold it a certain type of way? And with whites, you hold it another?
So with wine, you hold by the stem.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons. If wine is served the way it should at a specific temperature, reds and whites are slightly different temperatures. Whites are a little bit cooler than reds. But if you're taking your fingers and you're putting it on the goblet of the glass, the warmth of your hand is gonna like increase the temperature of that.
Right.
It's not gonna like ruin the wine, but if somebody went to the trouble of bringing these to a certain temperature to serve you, they did that intentionally. The other reason is your sticky, grubby, dirty fingers are gonna mess up this glass if you're gonna look at the if you're gonna look at the color of it.
Noted.
If you're gonna look at the color, you're gonna have your smudgy fingerprints all over the place. Get out of here.
Great. I'm so glad I Perfect. Thank you. I have some other basic amateur level questions for you, but I don't know if I should wait on those or not.
Ask away.
Okay, that was so good. Wow. When people usually have it swirl and then it drips like it does, what is that called and what does that mean?
Well, just swirling is swirling, right?
Right.
It helps aerate the wine, but when you see the legs, you maybe have heard that term with red wine. You see the legs,
right?
It's just more of an indication of viscosity. Kind of like when you think of motor oil has different viscosities. Depending on your engine, you'll get a different motor oil, thinner or thicker,
right? Depending
on the need of the engine. Wine has a viscosity. I mean, all liquids have a viscosity.
Right.
And it's not, I mean, some people want to say, oh, it's alcohol content. No, it's none of that. Because when you look at port, port is fortified wine, and it has a much high, it's got 20% alcohol, but it's less viscous. Where it's thicker. And so you'll have longer legs running versus this Bordeaux that we're going to taste. It's probably sitting at 13.5%, 14% alcohol. It's going to run much quicker. So it has lower alcohol. You would think having a higher alcohol would have it run quicker, right? But it doesn't. So it's just more of it. The legs have an indication of viscosity. I think, I don't know, I won't say it's a hotly debated topic within the wine industry, but some people want to be like, oh, it means this, it means that. And like, it's an indication of viscosity.
Okay. And one more question for you.
Yeah.
So do you usually, because, and I think we'll might talk about this or not, but when you get reds versus whites, do you keep some wines out because they're meant to be left out and keep some in a cooler environment, or how do you usually store your wines?
Great question. So for me, because I'm buying by like specific producer or specific vintage by producer, I know this wine is going to age for 20 years.
Okay.
I want to cellar it. So I want to keep it at like 50 degrees, 55 degrees,
Okay.
cellar temp.
Okay.
So it stays in its stores and you're not going to see big swings
Yeah.
in the temperature of the bottle of the wine. There are 3 things that destroy wine.
Uh-oh.
Temperature,
Okay.
high highs, low lows,
Okay.
light. So if you put it in direct sunlight,
Oh, okay.
that'll also which is why most wine have dark bottles. Even your whites.
Oh.
Even your whites.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the third thing is oxygen.
Okay.
So in the process of making wine, the grapes or the juice is exposed to oxygen. As we've opened these wines, they're exposed to oxygen, which is why whites, you got 2 or 3 days before that oxidation process takes place and the wine turns.
Okay.
It tastes kind of rusty and flat, and it's not the way, it wasn't that fresh bottle of wine you had when you first cracked it.
Yeah.
And reds, they take a little bit longer to oxidize, so you maybe get 4 or 5 days. Some, I mean, there are some red wines that are real big and they'll last a week. But in general, like, that's more of the original way wine was built.
Yeah.
Nowadays, winemakers know 90% of wine is consumed within 24 hours of purchase. Most
Okay,
people are
yeah.
not buying wine to cellar like
Yeah.
I am. But I'm also, I'm in the business, so yeah, those are kind of your basic rules and thoughts when it comes to that.
Okay.
Whites can age and do age. I mean, Rieslings can last 100 years.
Oh, okay.
There's some well-built Chardonnays from Burgundy, and your famous Sauternes from the Bordeaux region. Those will also age, forever, basically.
Okay.
But yeah,
Thank you.
you are welcome.
Which wine is this?
This is Chateau Moussard
Okay.
Jeune Blanc. Super famous winery. This was started in 1937 by the Hochar family. Moussard is from Lebanon.
Okay.
This wine is from Lebanon. This is from the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. They've survived wars and famines and droughts and just horrificness. And yet they've stayed the course, still kept on making wine. Gaston passed away fairly young, and his young son, Serge, at the age of 21, took over the winery. Forget the exact date, but he was young when he took it over, and he ran it for like 69 vintages. He made wine, which is like I know. I think 2 other. Actually, we tasted Tyrrell's on the last episode. Bruce Tyrrell from Australia. He's made 69 vintages of wine,
Oh my goodness.
which is like,
Oh my
you think about being like an artist. You're like, I'm gonna make art for 70 years. That's
Crazy.
mind-boggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, cheers.
Cheers.
So I'm making a little chicken tonight.
Okay.
We can do barbecue it. I got some Old Bay seasoning to go with it.
Okay.
This white wine will go great with the chicken, but the Bordeaux will also go great with the chicken. So
Okay.
you're staying for dinner, right?
I didn't know I was, but yes, I'll say yes.
Free food. So Serge, I'll tell a quick story.
Okay.
Serge came into town. Gosh, this was like 15 years ago. maybe 10 years ago. Serge is in his 80s at this point. And like he's just this legend in the wine business.
Okay.
And he's here with his son, Mark. Mark's a little bit older than me. Mark is eventually going to take over the reins, and we're going to go to Frasca up in Boulder to have a Musar dinner, where we're going to open up vintage wine from like the 1990s, and I think we opened up something from 78.
Okay.
And I bring my friend Sarah with me, who Sarah and I work together in a wine bar. And I called her up. I'm like, hey, Serge Hochar is in town from Chateau Musar. Do you want to come to dinner with me at Frasca? She's like, hell yeah. So we go up to Boulder. We sit down. There's 8 of us, and we sit down. And I'm like, normally I'm much more of a gentleman. I'm more hospitable, and I'll let other people like sit where they want to sit. But I'm like, I'm not.
Move out the way.
I'm not gonna pass up the opportunity to sit next to this guy and like
as you should have.
pick his brains all night.
Yes.
So we sit down. I'm sitting right next to Sarah.
Good.
And my friend Sarah is sitting next to me. And Sarah, gorgeous. She's like Marilyn Monroe, like beautiful blonde hair, just sexy woman. And we're just getting started, and Serge leans into me and his smoldering like Lebanese accent, he's just like, excuse me, young man, do you think it's possible that you switch seats with the young lady? And Sarah like perks up. I'm like, well, yes, of course, what am I supposed to do?
Oh, Sarah.
So I switched spots with Sarah, and Serge goes on to charm Sarah and all the other guests all night long.
Oh, good.
And sadly, we lost him. I think, gosh, yeah, probably not too far, like maybe a year after that day.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And now his son Mark's taken over, and he does a great job. But
Okay.
this is their white blend.
Okay.
It's a Jeune, which is like young. It's a blend of Viognier, which is a French grape, Vermentino, which is an Italian grape, and Chardonnay, which is also a French grape. But fresh, fruity, light, easy drinking. Yeah. A very
You said fresh and fruity.
I'm sorry. What's that?
You said fresh and fruity. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. What do you get?
I haven't. I probably just need to taste it already, but. Eric, I don't know.
I get.
It's sour.
Yeah, I get like a lemon and a lime, like zestiness, pretty bright acidity.
It's sour.
Yeah, tart. Very clean style of wine.
There's something that's not fruity.
Yeah, you're right. There's kind of like it's not herbaceous, but there is like a bitter like stem component. But although this wine doesn't see any wood, there's that like bitter wood kind of quality to it. You're right, on the back end, and you can smell it too.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is interesting. Like there's no wood on it. Like they put it in stainless steel and then filter it and bottle it, if that. But yeah, that'll go real good with the chicken.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
On a hot summer day,
Yeah.
I could drink that bottle.
Oh, definitely. I can see the refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Viognier is a wine from the Rhone Valley, and it lends the body to this.
Oh.
So does Chardonnay. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And that Vermentino, like really gives it acidity.
Okay. Okay.
And that lift and that brightness and that like lemon lime.
Oh, gotcha. And the wood is coming from.
So when you make wine, you pick your grapes.
Yeah.
And then you crush them.
Yeah.
Many different ways you can crush them. You can destem the grapes from the vine, so you just have the berry, or you can do whole cluster, where you've just cut it and you're gonna crush it with all that on there. And so I don't know. We could look into that. Let's look into that in a little bit.
Okay.
But if you do whole cluster, and you can do like partial, like some of it they could have destemmed, some of it they could have done whole cluster.
Mm-hmm.
There's a million different ways and like things to do to like make wine, but it's potential that they had some of it on clusters, and when you crush it, you get some of that stem in the juice, right?
Gotcha.
And so when you make the wine, that will impart, although obviously it's clean, there's none of that in there, because they either racked it or they filtered it. To racking helps filter things out, or you can run it through an actual filter to like pull out, but racking's the more traditional way. But it imparts kind of that stemmy, woody quality within the wine. The other thing that could be a factor is ripeness. They could have, there might have been like a front coming in and they knew they were going to get rain, which won't ruin what's going on, but they might have been like so close in ripeness that they might have picked it a couple of days too early. And so your sugar levels aren't quite perfect with your pH of the fruit. And that can also lend to kind of that a little greenness or like a stemmy, woody quality.
Delicious.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. All right, we're gonna chop up. We'll jump into one of these questions, but we'll pour some Bordeaux. Okay, first off, I'm so glad you picked this Bordeaux. Like,
you could have told me to pick.
no,
it.
I want you to pick what you want to pick and try and experience.
Okay.
Matt, an episode ago, he picked. What did he pick? He picked this Chateauneuf de Pape. That was like $120 a bottle.
Oof.
And I was just like, yes.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to open this up and taste this one again.
Yeah.
It's been a while, and oh my gosh, that wine was so fine.
That's what he's doing though.
To
some extent. Yeah.
He so far it feels like everybody who's shown up is, they're all about the same starting level. But that's the whole point. It's like to introduce, like take you into the world of wine, take you into the journey of wine, because like let's be real, it's wine. This isn't rocket surgery.
But still,
we're not delivering babies. Like this is fun stuff. This is one of like the great pleasures of life: food and wine, food and drinks, and yeah, we can easily get into beer and we can start playing around with mixed cocktails. Yeah. But wine is just this vast world, and it can seem intimidating. And I don't want it to be intimidating. I want you to know you can get it, because if an idiot like me can get it,
please,
anybody else can get it too.
Oh, I guess. Okay, so we've been to Italy, and then we went to Lebanon. Okay, and now we're going to
Bordeaux. This is your favorite, right? Red blend?
Yes, it is. Why were you excited to open this one up?
So, the man who makes this wine is one of the living legends in wine.
Okay.
Not like Bordeaux and Burgundy are like the two like absolute premier places in the world to make wine.
Okay.
Like Italy gives them a really great run for their money. Napa Valley gives them a really good run for the money. Washington and Oregon, but everybody, except for maybe the Italians, but everybody is looking to France to like, how can we make the wines of France?
Oh wow.
I mean,
Okay.
there are 10,000 different indigenous grape varieties, viniferous grape varieties in the world. So Italy's got a whole bunch of their own. The U.S. has a whole bunch of their own, all over, right? But when you look at the wines that people are making, they're making Cabernet, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Merlot, Malbec. Like, these are all from France.
Oh wow.
And this is like, people look to like hit these standards, and Terry, who makes this wine, made wine at Cheval Blanc, which is one of the most preeminent estates in the world
Okay.
for like 30 years.
Okay.
And he started on this as a side project like 20 years ago or something. And yeah, I'm excited. And it's like, well, I won't tell you because so we have some games, and I don't know, we haven't done games yet, but
Okay.
I've got 2 games I want to play.
Okay.
We'll see what kind of time we have.
Okay.
But this is
Ooh.
from Lalande Pomerol, is the sub-village within Bordeaux. So when you look at Bordeaux, you have different villages.
Okay.
Well, let me back that up a minute.
Okay.
In Bordeaux, you have left bank and right bank.
Okay.
The left bank will be predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon based.
Okay.
The right bank will be primarily Merlot based.
Okay.
Now you can blend Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Carmenere.
Okay.
Those are the 6 red grapes of Bordeaux.
Okay.
But if you're on the left bank, you're usually Cab heavy. If you're the right bank, you're usually Merlot heavy. This is from Lalande de Pomerol.
Okay.
You just have to like learn these things.
Okay.
The U.S., we like to dumb it down. It'll just say Cabernet on the label,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In France, it's just like, this is where it's from.
Yeah.
Get it. Get it.
Wait, so you previously mentioned that some bottles will show a picture. So how do you decipher between?
Great question. You don't. I mean,
Oh.
some of them will. Reading in the back here, at the summit of the sublime Nasa Plateau, our 21-hectare vineyard lies on a fabulous terroir of clay, limestone, and iron deposits. So they're telling you straight up, like, well, I mean, maybe they're not. Because you can own 21 hectares over here and rent a facility to make wine over here, and
Yeah.
you don't even have this. The only way to like discernibly know, especially in the U.S., is, or other New World regions will say, it'll say estate grown.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Otherwise, you have to look it up.
Okay.
I've got all sorts of fabulous like wine books.
I'm excited.
Are you excited?
It smells really good, and I love a good red wine.
Yeah. This is actually Merlot based.
Oh.
So it's 93% Merlot. What is it? 5% Cab Franc and
Okay.
2% Malbec.
Wow. Okay.
And it sees 20 months. I think it's 20 months or 24 months in barrel
Okay.
for aging. So that really like softens it out, rounds it out. No.
Ooh, what am I?
I get red fruit. I get like strawberries,
Oh,
little raspberries.
yeah.
sour cherry. It's quite dry.
It is.
But that's okay. I like that. This will also go good with the chicken.
Mm-hmm. Some black fruit, maybe?
It's a little. I think there's like some blackberry.
Okay.
Definitely get wood. You can tell it has oak treatment to it. But yeah, that's what happens when you get 20 months French oak aging to some wine.
Yeah.
But also like pretty fine tannins. It's not like all over your mouth.
Yeah.
It's very focused on like the front part of your tongue.
Yeah.
I also get a little like eucalyptus
It smells so sweet.
on the nose. But yeah. This is a delightful Bordeaux.
It's a beautiful color too.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's like a nice cherry red.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You picked a good one. All right. So tell me, what was your first wine experience? Good or bad? Would you like some more?
Sure, I'll take some more. Oh.
What? Now we're gonna talk.
Now it's
Now we're gonna talk. Let's get into this kingdom stuff.
I thought the first wine experience that I had was in school. I took a wine class.
Not like elementary school.
No. College, thank
You like,
goodness.
it's like you go to Catholic school, be like, yeah, I'll take some more juice there, Padre.
No, none of that. Yes, I was in college. I took a wine class. And we watched, movies and we did tastings and we learned a lot about what wine entails, how it's made. Don't ask me any of that because I don't remember half the things that I learned.
I won't. There's no quiz here.
Thank goodness. But I laugh because as soon as you ask that question, I remember the first time that I had wine. It was during the summer. It was after my first year of school. And I was an orientation leader. And, we guide the students during the day and we party at night to make sense of everything. And so
You party, you don't stop and think and contemplate.
No.
What school did you go to?
I went to Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Yes.
BT.
Exactly.
I don't know. What is that the calling for?
That's what I hear a lot of people say. Our like slogan, I guess, or our calling would be like people say "Let's go" and you say "Hokies," and Hokies a type of bird.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't rep it much, but but yes, I was at school, and during one of our like social gatherings, they got I hadn't really had wine before, and so they got a bottle of pink Moscato from the usual brand, and I think I drank the whole bottle that night. And
how'd you feel in the morning?
it was good. It was really sweet. Yeah. I felt like it tasted not like juice. I feel like it tastes like juice a little bit now, and I'm trying to get into drier wines. But at the time, it was good. And I don't think I really appreciated the fact that it was wine, but it was just good at the time. And so, I did. I was exposed then, and then I took the class, and then,
So positive experience.
Yes,
That's
definitely.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What is your understanding of spiritual gifts?
My understanding, I've never really talked about spiritual gifts before.
Okay.
I just hear the word thrown around, spiritual gifts this, spiritual gifts that. I think a lot of people know what their spiritual gifts are and how they're building the kingdom of God in those certain areas. But I don't think there's a lot of discussions around spiritual gifts in general.
Well, hopefully we get to change that.
Yeah.
Because I find it to be a very intricate part and key part of like God's kingdom, and not just for like professional ministers. I think if anybody calls upon the name of Christ and is a student of Christ, and is being taught by him and is following him, then they have gifts that he's given to them via the Spirit, and that is, it's a gift. And I'm like, I don't know, it's something we were talking about on the last show, that normally when we think of gifts, we think, oh, this is for me. But a spiritual gift's the complete opposite. It's for everybody else.
Yeah. Which is exciting, right? Because in the kingdom of God, you can kind of get lost in a sense, because everybody's doing a lot of different things, and you want to make sure that you're able to fit in and you're expanding the kingdom of God, but you don't really know how that looks for you personally. So I enjoy the fact that spiritual gifts is in the living word, right? But it kind of breaks it down.
It does.
Yeah.
There's a couple of key passages that do that, and I mean, there's like online tests and things to like help you pinpoint it and help like explain it out a little bit more. Some people put a lot of thought and writing into those sorts of things, but I think they're pretty straightforward and simple, and I think they're easy to use, and you don't usually need money, and you don't need a college degree or seminary degree to do it. You just, God equips the called. He doesn't call the equipped.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you want to show up, show up.
Yeah. And so I feel like that's the first step, is understanding how the spiritual gifts are relevant in your life, and then following in that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of those spiritual gifts, they come directly from God. A lot of these earthly feelings are fleeting and they're temporary, but a lot of these spiritual gifts, it's constant.
It's eternal.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good. I like that. How would you describe your level of wine knowledge?
Oh, basic.
Basic.
Yes, very amateur. Yes.
I'm impressed. Like, you're picking some pretty shishi Bordeaux over here.
I'm so glad that you think so. Yes, very much basic level of knowledge.
You took a course in college.
Yeah, a course. Yes, just one. So that's why I think I'm excited, because this is a whole new realm for me.
Yeah.
So it's great learning from your knowledge about what you do, because it is exciting, I think. So yeah.
Of the spiritual gifts, I gave you a little cheat sheet earlier. Which spiritual gifts do you think you possess?
I think that I tend to be an overthinker. So when I was
I don't think that's a spiritual gift. But go on. Oh, you have the gift. You have the gift of administration.
I don't even know how to.
Sorry.
No, that's not the spiritual gift. So,
I'm
goodness.
I'm anxious sometimes.
I feel chaotic sometimes.
Hey, we all have different powers and abilities.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm blushing now. So when I was reading through the cheat sheet of the spiritual gifts, I feel like I definitely was overanalyzing some of them and would pick certain words that made the whole thing misconstrued in a way. But there were two in particular that are relevant in my life. I think service is one of them. I think at a very young age, my mother would, have us pack lunch bags or snack packs or what have you, and we would travel to downtown Houston and just feed the homeless. And so to see ministry in that type of sense outside of the church walls was very impactful in my life, and I think it stemmed a lot of the service-related activities that I participate in now or try to participate in now.
Just going back to how you described college, like your second year, like you were serving the next coming class.
Yeah. I find great joy and delight in seeing other people be happy and enjoy, you know, whatever stage they may be in life. So yeah, I was an orientation leader, I was a residential advisor, but I see service in multiple different capacities. And I think that's a gift of a spiritual gift, but it's also one of the ways I'm trying to challenge myself as well, because I do want to continue expanding the kingdom of God. And so in this new stage in my life, being in Denver, I'm trying to figure out what that looks like for me. But I think just like you've mentioned before in multiple conversations, just doing it and taking that step forward in faith and just doing it is a big leap forward. So, there's some things that I'm wrestling with, but I think it'll all work out in the end. So, service is one of them, and then leadership is another one. I feel like leadership. Do you lead in a lot of capacities, Eric?
I mean, yes, but no, we serve together at church.
Yes.
And, I'm not surprised that you were quickly invited to serve with the leadership team, and we're grateful that you're with us.
Yeah, I just hope that I'm doing, everything and more. I do try to exceed expectations, but I feel like leadership has definitely been a prominent role in my life, even in high school and different clubs and on sports teams or in college, on different organization, and doing that sort of thing. I just feel like, and then now I just feel like leadership continues to come up, and it's something that I am really passionate about. And so I tend to put those two things together, servant leadership.
That's the model Jesus put forth, right? Like servant leader.
That's so true. And he did it through action, right? He didn't just preach the word, but he did it while he was preaching it. So yeah. So I think those are the two gifts right now. I think some of the other ones, I am overthinking, or I may want more in my life, but I feel like I'm really confident in my service, and then in my leadership as I walk with God, right? Because I can try to do it and then try to loop God in sometimes, but I do need to make sure that I'm holding his hand every step of the way, because there have been times where, I've led my own way, or I've tried to lead my own way, and I was kind of ashamed of those actions, and I was a little guilty towards how I reacted to, maybe God telling me no in certain aspects. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm here, and I just want to follow in God's footsteps. So yeah.
It's very conscientious and humble of you. I mean, it takes a lot to get to that point, I think, where you're like, okay, not my will, but your will.
Right.
And it's a daily struggle.
Right, because we're only seeing our perspective, right?
How myopic.
Yeah, it's a hard one to do.
Yeah.
I was in a quick story. I was in a group at church with someone who was I can't remember his name, but he was in our group too, and I'm a visual learner, so when he gave this metaphor, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to put that in my back pocket. But he basically said it's like building Lego blocks. Like, you're doing it, and you may give it to God sometimes to, just check on it, but he may grab it and say, okay, let's do it like this instead. And so sometimes you're like, okay, well, that's frustrating. I'm a little anxious and overwhelmed by these other, what you're trying to do in my life, but at the end, it's really about building the blocks with God. So it's definitely
that's a nice picture.
It's so challenging.
Because the world tells us you know, the American dream, which is whatever. Like, you should have this house and this yacht and this pay scale and this free time and these friends right now.
Yeah.
And that's just, that's the world speaking at you. And now you're trying to do everything you can to build this thing. And most of the time it's never satisfying. And when you pause and stop and you let go of that and you surrender even your own projection of what you think it should be, and surrender that and just go to the Lord and say, okay, Lord, enough of this nonsense.
Yeah.
I will sit here and wait until you tell me
Yeah.
what it is my life is about.
Yes.
And and I'll wait. I'll just wait.
Yeah.
And when you say go, I'll go.
Yes.
Because I don't. It's. I'm reading the Bible in a Year Bible, and so you know, obviously you go through Genesis and Exodus and Numbers and Deuteronomy, and like rereading like Moses. And Moses, he's at this point like early on the Exodus, where they've got the tent and the cloud, and the Lord's like, you know, I'm gonna go, and Moses is like, we're not gonna go anywhere unless like we'll go when you go.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
Like we don't want to move along in the wilderness without your cloud guiding us. And it's like, yeah. Like,
that's the problem. Yeah.
like, all right, I'll wait. I'll go when you go. And when you come to that point of like surrender and humility of like, okay, God,
Yeah.
that's it. Like,
Oof. Yeah.
and it is difficult because I think a lot of times in life it feels like we're waiting and we're being patient and it's a drudgery.
Yes.
But I think there's a sweetness that comes in waiting, because there's stuff to still do. Like there are these spiritual gifts to exercise in the community that you are surrounded with, and there's also those spiritual gifts to exercise to like build the kingdom and like showing the gospel to strangers, people at work, homeless people on the street.
Yes.
Volunteering at a soup kitchen or whatever.
There's so much to be done.
So much to be done. So you can still
Yes.
be advancing the kingdom as you're patient for like, because I think we're all thinking like, what's my big like I need to be doing something big for the Lord right now.
Exactly.
Like, no you don't. No you don't. Like, because you're putting that on the Lord and you're putting that on the world. Who says?
Yeah.
Did the Lord say that?
Right.
Because if he didn't,
Yeah.
then that's garbage.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
You're not going to do big things.
Right.
Like.
And where are we getting this perception that it needs to be so big and theatrical?
And monumental. And like.
Jesus did not come down on a flaming horse to save us from our sins.
That's right.
He was born.
A little baby.
So it's the little things. Yeah.
And so, yeah, being more comfortable in the mundane. Be like, because I don't know, like having a friend over for dinner, that's pretty mundane, but I'm having a blast.
Yeah, me too.
Granted, we got some fine wine, we're gonna cook up a little food, have some appetizers, like cool, great. Like but this is great, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I love this.
Yeah, it is.
Like this to me, like this is a little slice of heaven, right?
Yeah.
Like I could do this for 10 million years.
Yes.
This is great.
It's the simple things. Yes, I agree.
If you could travel to a wine region, where would you go?
I don't know too many wine regions,
Okay.
Eric. So, I'll just tell you this because this is the only, I feel like this is the only like wine vineyard I've ever been to in my life. I went to Italy. Can't tell you I feel so embarrassed.
No, it's fine.
I can't tell you exactly where I went in Italy, but yeah, I went there on a group trip and went to his vineyard. We walked around and looked at the grapes, and we went inside and understood the process, or learned a little bit about the process, and then ate some cheese and drank some wine and enjoyed the view. It was blissful. Yeah. So I would choose Italy because that's the only experience.
Okay.
What are the different, I guess, regions?
I mean, so wine is made all over the world.
Everywhere. Okay.
I mean, your dominant regions are France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Germany, Austria.
Okay.
Those are considered your old world regions.
Okay.
I mean, they make wine in Croatia and Slovenia and Hungary and
Goodness, yeah.
all over, right?
Okay.
Then you got your new world,
Oh.
which will be America, United States, which they make wine in all 50 states,
Okay.
even Alaska,
Okay.
even Hawaii.
Okay.
Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay,
Okay.
Australia, New Zealand, China, India.
Okay.
Sorry.
Have you had one from India before?
Yeah.
Really?
They're good.
Interesting. But your favorite region, I guess, is Italy.
Italy.
Okay.
I mean, France is great too.
Okay.
South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Italy. That's where my heart is.
How do you, people talk about your palate. How do you have a well-rounded palate?
You know how you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. Just drink. Drink more. Drink
Say
more
less.
often.
Say less.
Drink a wide variety. I mean, I hope this show like spurs people on to like, wow, like there is a lot to know, but it literally is the journey of wine, not the there is no destination in wine.
Gotcha. Okay.
There is none.
Yeah.
Like it is all just this journey, and I think it's kind of funny in the wine business. I think you find a lot of people who are like vagabonds at heart. Like they want to travel, they want to eat, they want to drink, they want to meet old friends and strangers at the same time, and it's all those life experiences, and then just doing some comparisons along the way, and enjoying it.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to dig a little bit deeper in how do you practice your spiritual gifts?
Yeah. So I mentioned service. Well, I guess we can start with leadership. So it's interesting. I find that I practice leadership more in my professional life rather than, well, we do lead in church. And I don't know why I feel like I need to do more leadership in church when we just talked about the small things. But yes, I do.
India's got some big things to do in life. Look out. Look out.
I'm behind.
No, you're not. You're doing great.
But I do lead. I try to lead at work as well. And I think that I may be the only believer in my office space of 40. And so I'm not shy about having those conversations with other good people.
So you're also bold.
I try to be.
There you go.
I try to just like.
There's another gift right there.
Yeah. Is it? I try. But yeah, probably blast, some gospel or some Christian, or just put up sticky notes around my cubicle. But I also have leadership positions on my program as well. And so I try to lead by using empathy and by using grace and mercy. And I try my best to, try to understand where maybe some of the developers are coming from, so that I'm able to best help them without passing, any type of judgment at all. So I try to lead in that capacity. And then service is a hard one. I've been trying to find ways to be more involved in my community and serve in different capacities. And one of the things that, you know, I've recently not dealt with, but recently encountered, I guess, is a family member recently was, so my cousin is in prison. And
Sorry.
it's okay. He was in St. Louis, and then he's here now, and so he has been here since May of last year.
Is he out of prison now?
No,
Or
he's
is he
not.
in prison here?
No, he's not. Yes, he is in prison. He's in Florence.
Okay.
And ever since I heard that he was here, I just didn't think it was a coincidence that he was here, out of all places.
Do you have other family here?
I don't.
Oh. So when are we gonna go visit him? Have you visited him yet? Yeah.
So, yeah, when I heard that he was here, I was just really conflicted with going over there to visit. I, you know, haven't seen him. I don't really have a relationship.
Okay. Yeah.
Not that it's a bad one. I just don't have.
Yeah. No, I've got cousins like that. They grew up on the other side of the country or in a different country, and you know, you don't spend a ton of time, and yeah, you just don't have that relationship.
Yeah, and so I think there was a lot of family hurt from, you know, his side of the family and my side of the family growing up that I'm unaware of, because I was at a young age when everything was happening, and then there was a moment or years of separation. And so when I learned that he was here, it was just, I didn't want to go, to be honest. I didn't want to visit him. I didn't want anything to do with that at all. And so I think it took a lot for me to realize that, yeah, him being here is just, it's not a coincidence at all. I think God was calling me to get in touch with him and connect with him. And so it just took baby steps for me to reach that point, to reach out and see how he was doing. And so, yeah, I was really torn. I didn't want to go. I thought I was scared to go at one point, and then
Fear.
yeah.
Okay.
And now
That's one of the devil's tricks. One of his tricks. Anyways.
But I think I just realized that I didn't want to go, but even in that, I felt disobedient. So
It was good.
It was good, yes, and I think that's one of the ways I've served.
Yeah. I mean,
Personally,
that's gotta mean the world to him that somebody would bother. I mean, that's just gotta be hard. I really can't imagine.
I can't imagine either. And so I only saw like a small glimpse, right? But I think that's one of the ways that I can serve, even though I'm not like at a food bank or I'm visiting elementary schools and doing volunteer hours with them. I think this is one way that God is asking me to serve in some sort of capacity. And I think that, yeah, I'm just going to try to continue doing the best I can with that situation. I think the visit was really good for him, but it was also really good for me. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I'm sorry he's going through that, and I'm glad you're there for it.
Yeah, me too. So we'll see how God works it all out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
How often do you drink wine?
Ooh, I wish I drank more.
Let's
I don't
fix
feel
that. I can help. I can help. You know the thing I said earlier, practice? That's what I'm talking about.
My thing is, I don't know what I like, right?
Okay.
So, and I'm skeptical about...
More wine parties here.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Even if I have to host, I'm okay with that. But yeah, not often. And I feel like, yeah, that definitely needs to change. So.
This kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, like wine, the bottle begs for community.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
invite one other person over. Invite 4 people over.
Yeah.
Like, wine is meant to be shared. It's meant to be discussed together of what you smell, taste, feel, see, listen to.
You really got me with that one. And I even like started putting it my wine glass over here.
All right. I think I got Taylor, or maybe no, I got Megan on that too.
I was like, oh wow, you learn something new every day.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll practice some more.
Thank you.
Yeah. Which spiritual gift do you wish you could do or wish you could see?
Yes. This is a good one. I was just talking to my sister about this one. Me personally, I would love to be more giving. I think I grew up with a...
Well, where's your wallet? I'll take whatever you want.
Whoa, now I think you might be a little bit more successful than me, Eric.
I don't know. You're an engineer. Like you do big things. I just sell wine. I'm not doing rocket surgery. I think you're doing rocket surgery.
Not at all. I am not traveling the world.
I'm not traveling the world. I'm right here. I mean, I do get the opportunity to,
beautiful.
But
that's awesome.
Anyways, giving. Yes.
Yes, giving. Yes, giving. I think there have been really giving people in my life, and so I kind of want to mirror that in a sense.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to, like, overflowing, right? Like, just, because the way other people that I have seen give, it's just not even a second thought. So, I want to reach that point in my life, yeah.
You know, the philosophy we have at our church of 5 + 5 + 5, like, that's what got me.
Yeah.
And it didn't start with giving to the church. It started giving to other ministries because they were like people I knew. And I knew the work that they were doing. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to get behind that. I'm going to support that. And then I was just like, well, here I am, like, supporting all these. And I'm at like 50% of my 10% to these. Like, why am I not? So I'm like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah.
And now, like, and it just, you talk about overflowing, like, you just start wanting to give more. And it's amazing how money just shows up sometimes where God's like,
oof, yeah.
Here you go. You want to give more? I can trust you with I can trust you with the 10% or the 5%. I can trust you with this, and this. So go wild.
Yeah. And you saying that, I can sense that that's growing your kingdom of what God looks like for you, right? Because you're meeting the people that you're interacting with and you're kind of giving to. And so, yeah, that experience so giving, and I feel like this comes up a lot when I'm in leadership positions or in service. Whenever I think of giving or serving in some type of capacity, the physical action is giving towards someone else, but spiritually, I feel like I'm getting so much more back, right? So it almost seems selfish in a way, but at the same time, I think it's a mutual.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you want to drink wine?
I feel like sometimes
Little John.
No. I was not expecting that.
Come on, I know who Little John is. Not that old.
I'm not surprised. I just wasn't expecting it. Let's turn on a little song. Sometimes I love the aesthetic of it, like the classiness behind it.
Pinkies out.
Yeah, literally.
I see you and Liv. Oh my gosh.
You said you've seen us?
No, I could see you too.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shoot, here we go.
I invited her tonight. I think that would have been a whole different environments.
Yeah.
But besides the that aspect, I feel like you've been telling me, there's so much history right behind it. There's so many stories to tell. There's so many different places that the wines here originate from. So I feel like there's just so much depth to wine, and like as you're talking, I love hearing about the different stories behind it. So yeah, I feel like that's what kind of makes me excited a little bit.
Cool. Last question.
Okay.
How has Jesus worked in your life?
Oh my goodness. So many different miracles. Wow. I think I'm thinking back through my multiple testimonies. I think the biggest way that Jesus has worked in my life has been making his presence known. I feel like for the longest time, until I got to college, I was just riding my parents' faith through a lot of my situations, and through a lot of hardships or obstacles, and then there were multiple instances where God and there was no other reason for any of the situations to work out the way they did, but the fact that they were God. And so I think that's the biggest way that Jesus has really worked in my life, is just showing up for me in times where I didn't think anyone cared, or I just felt alone and really unsafe and insecure. So I think thinking back on those moments, because they were just so real to me, like if I were to tell someone else, they wouldn't understand because they weren't. But I think thinking back on those moments and having my own moments now have just carried me and my faith, so that I'm able to pick up those blocks from my parents, so that I can continue to have a relationship and grow a relationship and really understand who God is here on out. So yeah, and there's like bits and pieces in that, right? Like the different ways that he showed up and how he made himself known. And even being here in Denver, like going to work and just seeing the mountains on a daily basis. I'm from Texas, so that's completely new for me. It's just God's creation, and so like he just shows himself in ways that are unimaginable. So
you tell a story of, I guess, a way that he showed up that you didn't expect.
Sure.
Because I think for a lot of people, for a lot of unbelievers, like this is all like pie in the sky, right? It's like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't compute. They can make it equate in some other form or fashion, but for people like you and people like me, who we've seen some things that they don't make sense, but that doesn't mean we didn't see the things that we saw. So I think hearing a story, a testimony is like, for some people it's like okay, for other people like it builds their faith.
Okay, yes, I can. It's funny, I just shared this testimony after years of not even wanting to think about that time in my life at all, because I was really emotional about it. But I think that that showed me that those feelings are still real, and I haven't really thought through them at all. But yes, so I think one of the biggest ways, there's been many, I feel like, different miracles in my life, but one of the biggest ways that Jesus has showed himself to me is through my field of work, I guess. growing up, I was the oldest of 3 daughters, so there was a lot of pressure on me to do well. And so I think a lot of the times I put a lot of pressure on myself. And so when I didn't do well, I just felt like a failure. I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I think there's still some traces of that in my life right now that I'm working through. I'm still working through. And so going to school and pursuing, engineering, I was in, classes with 300 people and I was the only person that looked like me. So I felt like I wasn't good enough to be in those spaces. I wasn't on the same kind of level as everyone else. I wasn't, or I felt like an imposter in those different capacity. So there was very early on, there was a time that I felt like I needed to just put on a face and I needed to try to do everything myself instead of asking for help from God, help from the people around me.
Sure.
But that only goes so far, right? So there was a point where they were like, okay, well, you're gonna have to spend a longer amount of time here in school because you're not doing well, because you're not, asking for the assistance that you need. And so I think I was totally defeated. I wanted to give up on God's plan for me. I didn't even feel like I should continue in the field that I thought that I wanted to. I questioned myself every day on, just dropping out and just
yeah. Throwing in the towel's real tempting.
Yeah. And there are a lot of times where the devil would just convince me that I wasn't worth it at all. And I think that's where a supportive unit comes into play, a supportive community comes into play, because I did, ask the people around me, or I did reach out to my parents and I was like, I really don't think this is for me. And I really don't think God wants this for me. Who am I to know what God wants for me, to be honest? But I think I was
until He tells you.
Yeah, literally.
But not up until then.
Yeah, exactly. So I convinced myself, I was trying to convince God, I think there's just another path for me. So I told my parents and they just kind of laughed. And they were encouraging, but they were just like, just stay on the course. And I was like, no, I'm done. I really don't want to do this anymore. So I tried to go to my academic advisor and I was like, I literally want to do anything else. She was like, no, let's just figure it out. And I was like, I don't think you're understanding. You're literally not doing your job. I need your help so that I can just drop out of this field altogether. And I think, that was God, obviously, in different ways, pushing me forward, even though I just really wanted to turn around and run away. And so there was a summer that came around, and the year before I tried to pursue some type of experience to solidify the fact that this was the right path for me, to solidify the fact that I am going in the direction that God wants me in. And so that year I was pursuing some type of experience, some type of answers from God, that this is exactly what He wanted me to do, and I felt like that's what I needed at the time. And then the summer came around and I felt like I had nothing, and I was depressed all summer. I felt like God had given up on me. I felt like I was back to the point where I was worthless. I was a failure. My parents weren't proud of me. I just hit a very low point in my life. But even in that, I feel like God sent me different pushes in the right direction, right? So, that whole summer, I was just bawling. I was just so defeated. I was down. I felt all alone. I felt all the things, right? Next year, I went back to school. COVID happened. And I was like, okay, great, I can go home. I'm still pursuing this thing. I'm still pursuing this thing, and I'm just so frustrated because I literally don't know why I'm here. I don't know what, even though I'm looking for, I guess, purpose right now, at that point I just felt like there was just no direction at all. So yeah, COVID happened, and then God blessed me with some type of experience, and then that's when I was like, okay, Jesus, I see you. And then God bless them, my family drove the 35 hours from Houston to Seattle so that I could just enjoy that experience. And I was there the whole summer, and I was there by myself during COVID when everyone's in isolation and no one really had in-person anything. It didn't make sense for me to be there working a job in person when everyone was at home. And just so many things happened that summer. I was doing school at the same time, and God allowed it to all be paid for. And I was like, wow, it's another push in the right direction. And then just multiple pushes like that, right, in the same direction. I was so grateful, and I felt blessed and also thankful. But at the same time, I felt guilty and ashamed that I had reacted that way a year before. And I was like, I never want to give up on you like that again. I never want to, have depleted faith like that again. Yeah. So it's just me and God that summer, and I felt like my faith was renewed in a sense. Then I went back to school. I had to take more time, like I mentioned earlier, but I think the thing that I was scared for the most with that was just being at a place that I didn't really feel comfortable by myself. But God worked it out so that, 3 of my best friends were there at the same amount of time. So it was multiple things all at once where Jesus just made himself known, and solidified, a lot of the things that I had been praying for. I feel like being here is an answered prayer in itself. And I think I'm at a point in my life now, after going, through those different sort of miracles, and being able to communicate some of that with my parents, and just trying to understand that, they love and support me and they're proud of me and stuff like that. And being here, not knowing what Denver could have for me, I think, I'm at a point where I'm in total surrender, I think. And I'm so excited for what God has for me, because
that's a sweet spot to be in.
And I just feel like, I've just given up the reins completely, because there's no other way I would want to see the rest of my journey play out if God wasn't directing my path. So, Ooh, yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I cried last time, so no tears today. It means we're getting a little comfortable.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for being a part of my community.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for being part of the community. We'll see y'all next time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.